Hey guys, welcome to Coding with Chris. Yeah, another false start. Maybe one of these days I'll remember all the crap I gotta change before I go live. There's a lot of stuff. Anyway, hope you guys are having a great day. We are going to have lots of fun. Hey Marco, how's it going, my man? We are gonna get into some Rspec testing today because shame on us for not having done it before. You know, I said we're TDD. I've always espoused TDD, and there I was not doing the TDD. So we're gonna TDD and find out how many times I can say TDD. Awesome. Okay, so where we're at now is we've got our Perlin noise implementation, right? And we can actually generate a nice little height map. It's not the fastest implementation in the world, but this is Ruby. This is not C. So you can actually, with Dragon Ruby, get a higher tier license that allows you to bring in C wrappers for Ruby, which will help stuff like this. But this is good enough for our purposes right now. We're just learning, right? So here we've got these noise maps being generated. This is just a bunch of values across a double indexed array. So it's an XY array. So that's what we're doing at the moment. This will start moving a little faster, I promise. So what I've got here, we started with a Perlin noise spec, and I just put some just basic stuff in there to get to a point of making sure that the Rspec setup was right and that it was running. What I want to do, one of the things I want to do with this project is I want to start with talking about some things we need to test, and we'll do a lot of the testing live here, but I do want to set up some empty tests so that junior developers have a chance to come in and try to implement them and see what they can do with them and explore that and practice PRs and stuff. I think that's a good way to give junior devs a place to kind of jump in and not feel overwhelmed. They can implement a test and do a PR and practice that stuff. Hey Colin, what's going on, man? So what I want to do, I put these two tests together in the Perlin noise spec thing, and I think these would be good ones for juniors to try to implement. We just want to find out if the Perlin noise returns a random value between 0 and 2 for each cell, XY cell. So how would you test that? I've got some notes here about why we're doing 0 to 2. That's uncommon for Perlin noise. Usually it's -1 to 1 or 0 to 1, but I have some special ways I want to use this, so I scaled it up. And then let's check that it requires a width and height value to be passed in. All right. These tests are not strictly necessary for this, though it's not hurtful to have them. But I think this is a good start. So these test skeletons are already up in the develop branch. I put those up there this morning. So if you guys want to pull and play while we're going, practice things, whatever, feel free. We're not going to be working in the Perlin noise spec today. That's not where I want to work. Where I want to work is in the world spec. We want to start speccing out our world class. So we've got this world class, and this is kind of our god class, as it were, for things. So the initialization right now, what we're doing, does it work with mruby? No, it does not. You can do some unit testing with mruby and Dragon Ruby. They have some examples of how to do unit tests with that, like test unit stuff. Rspec does not. However, it will work with our classes because we're just writing classes as poros, so we can still test those in a test suite. We just may not be able to test mruby actually running, right? But we can still test that our class logic is okay and keep our poros in shape. So we've got the world spec and we've got the world here. Right now, so just to kind of give you an overview of where a world is going to end up, it's kind of the master control object that's going to coordinate all the data stuff. So in the initialize, like, we're setting all these values, hard coding. Eventually what we're going to be doing is reading these in. But for now, hard coding them is fine. It'll generate the maps internally so that, you know, that thing gets generated. It's what's going to hold the main map information so that we have it all over the place. Now, one of the things we want to do with this, we don't ever want to instantiate more than one world object, one instance of this. So what we want to do is we want to turn this into a singleton, and I think that's a good place to start with some specs. So we want to, I don't have a shortcut for describe in here. Why the hell not? Okay. Any chance you are super quiet, or is that on my end? It looks like I am. I've got my sound meters way up to where they're supposed to be, hitting around -10, -6 dB. So I think it's okay. But you let me know if it's a problem. I don't know. Colin, are you hearing all right? Everybody out there in chat land hearing okay? Music's a bit loud? All right. I mean, I can fix that for sure. And I can bump me up a bit. Is that mo better? Mo better, mo better? I mean, Colin, you saying music is too loud, that just definitely was the music. Okay, well, super loud at the same volume, which is, but yeah, well, I mean, you guys let me know if I need to adjust something. I'm happy to adjust, because I can't hear your side of it. So all right, so we all square? We good enough to where you guys can understand me now? So I'll pull the music back even more there a little bit. Okay. All right, so let's see what how we can do implementing a singleton pattern on our world. This is a good pattern to know. You don't generally want to use it a whole lot. It's probably used a lot more in game development than in web app development, but it is good to know about it and to know it's available. So, how do we want to word this? Sure, I'll go for that. All right, so what we want to do is we want to say, I want to be able to do world-class.instance. And what we want that to do is to equal another world.instance. So, now, a couple of things here that may look a little strange. First of all, oops. First of all, when you're writing expectations, you usually to be equal to this, right? That's normally how you're going to see these things. There's a problem though with object equality, right? Because there's all kinds of equalities in Ruby. You've got that kind of equality, you've got that kind of equality, you've got this kind, and then that. So these have more to do with values, and these two things are actually methods that can be overwritten. So you have to be careful about how you're doing equals on different types of objects. This is supposed to actually look at the object ID and make sure the object IDs are the same, right? And what we want is for this instance of the world object to be the actual same instance in memory here, right? So I think this is the most appropriate way to test it. So we just find out if this equal returns true. Be truthy is a little trick I learned in Rspec quite a while ago, because you got be truthy and be falsy. I can actually say to be true, but truthy actually is a good habit to get into, because if you get into things like Booleans could be, well, values could evaluate to true or false or 0 or 1 or yes or no, and truthy kind of understands those which of those things means true and which means false. So I just found be truthy to be a very handy habit to get into. So if we run this now, this is going to gripe because there is no instance method here. So what we need to do is we want to def a self.instance, because this needs to be a class method. And we want to say, let's start with world.new, right? We want to just create one when we create this. So this test should still fail, but it should fail for a different reason. Okay, it expected a truthy value, but it got false. Why did it get false? Because when it called this the second time, it created a brand new instance of world, right? So what we want to do is we want to have something that will memoize. So if you don't know this or equals or whatever this, I've always said or equals. Basically this says, if this doesn't exist, do this thing, set it equal to this. If it does exist, don't screw with it. Just return it, right? So we now have an instance method we can call, and what that means is I can call world.instance.generate world map, right? But I can keep all these things in the world object, but it's a singleton now, so I don't have to do this. Now there are different ways to implement this, but this is the simplest way I know of, and this is all we need. So we'll keep it with that. Right. So what else does the world need to do? Well, it needs to generate a map. So how do we want this to happen? So I want to be able to have access to the world map, which is, the world map is just an array, right? Array of tiles. So I think, I mean, Rspec, it's not useful to test, do I have access to this in 99.9% of cases? That's a useless test. What we want ultimately to do, I think, is make sure that the map is the right size, but as we're not reading that stuff in, are the parents for, no, they are not. I could do this. In both Ruby and mRuby. However, personally, That drives me banana crap crazy. That breaks my brain. So I require that, but mRuby doesn't. Let's see. So, oh, in the world RB file. Oh, here? No. I'm not sure why those got there. I may have mistyped or took some params out. I won't put those unless I put params in generally. So that was thanks for catching that. No, that's not required. And in fact, I don't like that. Not empty brackets. That's too JavaScripty. I don't like it. All right, so let's leave the world spec for now, and let's look at our tile spec, because the next thing we're going to kind of concentrate on is what we're doing with our tiles. So I am going to make a tile spec RB file. And we're gonna do, we gotta require the spec helper, and we're going to describe tile. And we're gonna move this over here because my habit is just always to have the spec file I'm working on to the far left. I don't know why I started doing that many years ago, and that's just what my muscle memory is. So if I don't have it over there, I start clicking on the wrong damn thing and drive everybody nuts. So, let's get rid of that. I don't need that at the moment. What I do need is, all right. So our tile will contain a height value for each cell. Now, I know a lot of people in Rspec write should contain a height value for. I've found over the years that you never want to write should, because if you start, as you start trying to construct these so that they're natural language when they come out and print out, having should in there is just not good for the language flow. So also it's a little bit, well, it should do this. No, it does do this. You know, let's be forceful in our testing. So let's put a, do I have a tile? It possibly does. Nope. It better not possibly does once I have a test for it. I mean, the should thing is not, it's not like, don't write should, that's a bad syntax thing, never do it, never. No, it's just, maybe it's more of a pet peeve for me than anything, but it just seems kind of a weak, you know, tell me what you're gonna do. Don't say what it might kind of shoulda do. I really should have, let's see, I do have team mini test. Oh yeah, I get it, and I'm fine with mini test. I just always preferred Rspec because of the way my brain lays things out. I mean, you're also Team Vim, so, you know. I need factory bot. Why the hell do I not have factory bot in here? That's cray cray. Is it underscored? I forgot. I mean, I guess I could look it up, find out, right? Come on, Chrome. All right. It is underscored. Okay. Oh. I haven't looked at their GitHub for a while. I didn't even know factory trace was a thing. That's useful. Anywho. Let's do that and bundle that up. There we go. I'm not gonna, I just wanted to have that in there. I'm not gonna bother with it for this yet, but we will eventually get to that. All right, so we want expect tile at, well, now this is interesting. Does tile, oh, I gotta create, oh. I can't just do new. I've got to do, I have to do something like this. Right, but I don't want to do that. So, so that's not actually a good test. Now I'm starting to wonder if tile is a good place to start. I can set some defaults in the initialize method, but there aren't any defaults that really make any sense in this case, because what I'm trying to do is tell it where I'm trying to access the tile. I need the tile at here, right? So what I actually, the place I actually need to be testing this is in the world map level, because the world map will create a tile in its cell. Then I can access the cell and find out what kind of stuff that tile has. That's not very unit testy. But it kind of is, because tile objects don't really exist on their own. It doesn't make sense for them to exist on their own. Yeah, I think so. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go into the maps, new file, world map spec. NEMA requires. No. that was the wrong line. Oh, how's everybody's day going so far? Are we having any massively fun things going on? Come on by too fast. Tell me about it. I was doing some work and I looked up and I was like, oh, shit, it's 2:30. I gotta get ready to stream. All right, so we've got our spec here. I am going to... I'm actually going to get rid of this tile spec for now. I don't want to confuse us. We may need one eventually, but I can always create the file. There's not that much in it. So let's just worry about world map. So let's get our world map class open. All right. So I want my... what's the install thing for factory bot? Let's get this set up. Yeah. No, not that. I thought they had a setup script. Good God. Yeah, I'm not using Rails. Not using Rails. Do we want to do all this right now? Yeah, we probably ought to. All right. Let's put this in our config. And see what else we got to put in there. Oh, see, here's your bit, Colin. We're gonna scroll right past that. You notice that Rspec was above the mini test stuff scrolling, right? Because, you know. Oh, there really is no... I thought they had a... Maybe that was back when it was like called Factory Girl and they had a initializer script. All right, so under spec, let's make a folder called factories. And we will make a new file called world map. And then we just need to do something like this in there, but we will do it for world map. And what do we need for world map? There we are. So I'm going to want a height, a width, a height, a tile size, and a seed. Now, the funny thing about this is FactoryBot is usually used against a database, against database models, but we don't have database models here. So I may have to do something a little funky with FactoryBot to get this to work, but we'll see. I'm going to set the width to 10 and the height to 10. And we'll set the tile size to 1. Now let's set it to 2. So we have some wiggle room there. And then we're going to set the seed to just that. It's fine. This is just defaults, right? Now, I don't think this will actually work here because these aren't actual fields in world map, right? These are, what do they call them in FactoryBot? Transitory? Transient. So I may have to wrap it in this transient thing. In fact, I'm almost certain I will. But let's find out what it gripes about, shall we? So let world map create world map. Let me just do that to start with, and let's give us a it just does something. Right. Initialize constant factory bot. Okay, well, there's a problem. What? Make sure Rspec is installed. Yeah, horse crap. Oh, that's for the Ruby Test Explorer. I don't care about that. Yeah, another problem, but that's not my big problem. Here we go. Okay. Well, why don't I have... Oh, do I have to require... Yeah, I don't have the require in the spec for... I think it's going to be that. All right, yeah, so what's happening is, because these are transient things, and what we want to do is call the initialize with that. We got to call new with these things, but we're not actually doing that in factory bot, right? I think what we have to do is they have a yeah, I think they have a before create. Yeah. It's called before a factory is saved. So, actually, we don't actually have to create these. We just stub them because we're not saving anything to a database. Or not stub them, build them. It's much faster. Which, even if you're running this against a database, anytime you can do a build instead of a create in factory bot, do it, because it's way faster in your test suite. Just, you know, pro tip there. The only thing is it doesn't save that actually to the database, so if your process has to go read stuff back out of the database that you've saved in there, you can't just do a build. But and it could very well be that factory bot is not the best way to do things like what I'm trying to do, but let's no. No, that's not going to work. Because I'm not doing a create. And this is just before it saves, but everything else is after it builds, and it can't build it because it's not calling the... Yeah, I don't think we can use this. I don't think factory bot is is a thing we can do here. I will leave this in here if anybody wants to try to figure out how to make factory bot useful for this project. Go for it, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time right now doing that. I would be interested to see if somebody can figure that out though. But what we're going to do is we're just going to create one of these. So we're going to go width 10, height 10, file size 2, and seed 1, 2, 3. Good. Yeah. Actually, it's not be true. It's that. But that's, again, rather than equal true, I like the be truthy, but this is a stupid test anyway. I'm just trying to make sure that this works. All right, so
dance off, bro. Me and you.
Hey, RN Turner, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. And welcome to the show. Hope you find something useful and fun in here. Just so you know, we do have a Discord where we will talk about stuff like this in longer form, offline. We do this once a week, so feel free to join that. All free. Oh, you're on the Discord. Cool. Awesome. Oh, Roman. Didn't realize that was you. Awesome. Well, welcome to the stream. Glad you're here, man. Let's see. All right, so what do we want to test that the map does? Okay, first of all, we need to test that it generates a array of tiles, right? Because ultimately what we need this world map to be is an array of tiles that have information about the height maps and the temperatures and all yada yada yada, right? Okay. So it generates a 2D array of tiles. Yeah, getting the whole crew in here. This is exciting. I mean, the reason I like to live stream is not because I like to hear myself talk. It's because I like to, you know, get together and talk with people and learn new things. And, you know, more people that are here, the more fun we have, right? And the more people could tell me what I'm screwing up so we can get it right for people. So we want to expect world map dot map, because it will have a map. I don't think it has it yet, but we'll get there. So we want it to be an array. Think that's a thing. Yeah, we don't have a map. So what we want to do, not on world map. Where are we generating this stuff? So it's right now all we're making is the height map. Ultimately, there's going to be more than that. Where are we? Let's just get in the values. Okay, in the world. Then it's doing the generate world map here, but what we don't really want to have our tiles out here. What we want to do is we want to be doing this stuff inside the world map and let it build the map, right? That's its job. So we'll end up moving that stuff over there. So what we need for that is a... I think I was debating whether to make this just an attribute accessor and make like a map variable, instance variable, but I don't think we want to have to call generate map and then access the map. We just call map, and if we don't have the map already, generate the map, right? So I think what would be better is to do this. And then this all really becomes private, right? I think I like that mo better, right? All right, so yeah, we're still failing, but that's fine. Wrong number of arguments given in what? Berlin noise. Why am I having a problem in there? Oh, I know why. And I don't know exactly how to fix this. Maybe you guys can tell me. If I'm running this in mruby, I have to call random new seed like this. If I'm running it in outside of mruby, I have to call it like that. That's annoying the shit out of me. Can somebody please figure out how to fix that so I don't have to change it to run it in multiple places? So, whoops. So basically, I need it. This way, no. This way for mruby, and this way for Rspec.
This sucks more than anything that I've ever sucked before.
So, can somebody please figure out how to unscrew that? Yeah, for us, it's expecting a keyword argument. I don't understand why, though, because that means that the... Yeah, the butthead clip.
This is the coolest thing I have ever seen.
What that means is that random is defined differently. Its initializer is defined differently in Ruby 2.7 than it is in mruby. But I don't understand why. I don't know. There's got to be some way where I could call either one of those and it's fine in both cases. Can somebody please figure that out? That's driving me batty. And it's going to end up causing all kinds of problems because every time I switch back and forth, like if I go run Dragon Ruby now, it'll blow up on that same line saying, hey, you can't call this like this. All right, so off my soapbox and back to testing. No implicit conversion of hash to integer. What? What? No implicit conversion of hash into integer. Where am I trying to convert a hash into an integer? What? You get the syntax wrong? I didn't think I did. Is it trying? No. I was running this not too long ago. Yeah, so that's fine. Well, I'm confused now. Yeah, but what? But see, then it starts. Oh, it's the shuffle. Sorry, it wasn't there. It's here. Got that a little bit wrong. Got those backwards. My bad. Does it have to be specific? No. But what I want to be able to do is, like in a lot of games where, you know, you can go into the setup and the player can type in what seed they want, so that if they, you know, their friend found this awesome map and they want to do the same map, they can type in the same seed, right? So I need to be able to pass that in. I don't want it to just be completely random. I want it to be determinate by the player. So, so that's why I'm doing it like this. Now, maybe there's a better way to do that in general. But this needs to be shuffled. Otherwise, there is no... You would always get the same set of values if you don't shuffle this array. That's part of the Perlin noise algorithm. So, anyway, that's... You know what? Let's put a... Let's put a ticket in to GitHub for this, because I think that would be a good thing to work on. Let's make a new ECU. That Perlin noise RB. Okay, so currently this line sorry, I can't think, talk, and type at the same time. I can only do two of those. Shuffling the array quickly is necessary, but how we accomplish that is open to suggestions. All right. I think that this is a good first issue for people to take a crack at. So we will put that up there. One of the things I'm trying to do with this is not only that we all have fun and learn together. I mean, we're, you know, even senior devs are going to learn stuff from this because it's a different way of doing Ruby than web apps. But I also want to have an environment where juniors can get in here and practice, you know, submitting PRs and working on Rspec things and working on tickets and getting used to that environment. So if you guys are, I mean, feel free to tackle any that you want. But if you feel like you're a little more on the senior side, try to leave some of those ones that are labeled best, good first, whatever the hell it label is. Good first issue, try to leave those for the juniors so they can have a place to tackle some things that aren't too difficult. Also, if you put tickets in and you think that they would be good first issues, please label them as such so that we can give the juniors a place to practice things in a non-arbitrary project, right? This is an actual project that they can play with. And if something gets screwed up, I mean, I'm going to screw things up on a minutely basis. So it won't matter if they try things and mess things up. It's all good. All right. So, the hell even is it? It's a string. That is not what I meant to do. I meant to do that. But still, it shouldn't be a string. It is a string. What? Let's see. What am I doing here? We call generate map. Calls generate height map. And I'm not actually... Oh, I'm just returning... ultimately returning this because that's what... That's the last line. Hold on a second. Oh, yeah, because... All right. Yeah, this is going to have to change over time a little bit. Right now, I'm just going to return the height map to it. Later on down the line, map is going to be more than just that. But we don't yet have more than just that. All right, so it is an array. Why are you expecting... Oh, because array doesn't respond to... What? All right, so how do we test? Well, do I? Okay. This is, yeah, and this is not tiles yet, but okay. So what we want to do is let's make sure that that'll test that it's an array, right? Not an array. I can't. That's not how you access arrays in Ruby. Thanks. But it's got to be a two-dimensional array. It has to have values in it, or this call will just blow up, right? What we want it to have is a tile object in it. Maybe that's a good way to test it. Maybe. I mean, this will fail because it's not a tile, but yeah, we got a float. It should be tile. All right, so that's good. The test is good. Our implementation is broken. But that's all right. That's what we want to do now. Okay. Everybody following along so far? This is really, really not complicated stuff yet, but we are going to get complicated. So in order to do this, what we need to do is we actually need to move this stuff to the world map. I don't actually need this last line, but let's get the block over here. And where do we want to do this? We're generating the map, so we want to generate the height map, and then we want to do this stuff. And where is it? At width, at height, tile size. This we want that. We don't currently have an at tiles, but what we don't want at tiles, we want at map. Right? Right. Just say yes, Chris. I'm digging this music channel. Go pretzel. Go pretzel. Yeah, I'm a dork, so what? What do we want to do here? We want to yeah, so that should fill. What we don't have is we don't have map initialized. We don't want to do it in the initializer though. What we want to do is I don't think you can do that, can you? That's not a thing. Can't load spec helper. What? Oh, it's because I got syntax errors somewhere. Yeah, I don't think that that's a thing you can do. Oh, why can't I do that? Because it's that. That would be why. Okay. We're getting there. Yeah. All right. See how that works out. Yeah, because we initialized the X, but we didn't initialize Y, and I don't think you can do this. Yeah. I think that works. Yeah, can't do that. So what we have to do is for every X, and then we can just do that, I think. So then we initialize the array of that chord, right? Yeah, we don't need that. I said that when I moved it over and forgot to comment it out. World map spec set. Oh. For 0 to 10 range, what have I done here? What kind of Frankenstein monster have I created? World map. That's not gonna work. Oh, I still. Why is it a range of 0 to 10? How did I get that in there? All right, what am I doing? I gotta think through my flow here. I'm getting ahead of myself with something. So, if I... this is going to fill in map, but it's not actually returning map, and so map's going to get overwritten. So what I gotta do... what I actually want to do is do this locally, right? And then return that at the end to get assigned. Right? Right. There we go. Yeah. That looks mo better. So I don't need this here. What I do need... I do have to have some way to get this stuff in there for visualization, but that's not important right this hot second. All right, so we've gotten to the point where we've got the generation of the array of tiles into our world map, which that 2D array of tiles is the actual world map, right? Because the height map is just a part of that. I want to get rid of that. Okay, so now I would like to expand this a little bit so we get better tests, but we want to be careful because that's not a that's a non-trivial amount of time, so we don't want it to get too expensive to run these tests, but I think that's 50 by 50 is fine. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Okay. So, what else do we need to test about this? Okay. The world map needs to have one thing you may notice is that these are actual while loops instead of at width or arranged to at width dot each do. because these are actually in mruby anyway, faster, significantly faster. So because this is such a tight loop that gets run a lot, I changed them over. Let's see, what else do we want to do with this? I think, I mean, right now there isn't anything to the world map other than a 2D array of tiles. All the actual information is in the tile, right? Right. So now what I want to do is push that up there before we get too carried away. I probably should have split that into smaller things, but it's kind of hard to think about that when I'm also trying to talk about things, so that we don't have just tons of dead air on this live stream thing that I'm doing. So it's an art. I'll get better. Don't worry. All right, so what I need here is, for the visualization, I'm not even going to worry about it right now because that's all going to change anyway. All right, so now we actually have something that we can test tiles against. So let's make us a tile spec. Let's get our require. And let's start talking about what a tile needs to be. So first of all, we want the world map to be created. Why did I do it like that? And I need to create this immediately. This is kind of frowned upon in Rspec, but there are situations where you need to create it. Generally what happens is this is a lazily created thing, which means it doesn't actually get created until the first time you use it in the code. So if I go world map dot something in one of my it statements, then it gets created. If I do this, it's created as soon as this line is evaluated. So it happens ahead of time. The reason you have to use that sometimes is if I never actually reference world map, but I'm trying to get to things inside it, I have to create it somehow. I can do that in a let, or I could do it in a before. Some people say don't ever do the let bang here. Always do a before if you have to just create something. I don't really see a problem with this. Unless you've got crap tons of let in there and it's hard to see which ones are bangs and which ones aren't. When I'm doing stuff like that, I tend to put all my bangs at the beginning and then leave a little space and then put my non-bang lets later on, so I know that they're grouped. But either or, just know that some Rspec aficionados get all bent if they see the let bang. And Rubocop, I think by default gets bent as well, but I turn that off because Screw him. Why do I keep putting .create? That's not how Ruby works. Let's just do this thing. And that's good. All right, so a tile. I don't need this many things for tiles, so let's just do, because I'm only interested in one of these tiles. I don't need a million of them. Okay, so it has so expect I don't actually need to do a let bang here because I can do this. And then when I do this, it will create things. Can't remember if we called it height value. I think we did, but all right, so we failed. Find method tile for tile. Oh, it already is a tile. Duh. All right. So the height value is not null. That's good. More specifically, let's make sure that the height value is a float. Right? Yes. Okay, so we know we have a float number in there. Now, these tests may seem very rudimentary and kind of unnecessary, but what I've kind of developed over the years and what I've found doing this is that I do very rudimentary tests and it starts building up momentum, and then I start rolling it into bigger things. So it's just nice to kind of start here at these very simple things and get a lot of green feedback. Makes you feel all warm and fuzzy and you can keep going with things. I don't like carries. It stores. Okay, now ultimately it will store some other things, but let's not get ahead of ourselves here. It will also store a sprite primitive, or calculate a sprite primitive, but we haven't actually gotten to sprites yet, and what I don't want to do is write a test for the solids we're doing for quick viz here when we actually want it to be checking sprites. So let's actually just move on to the next thing the tile needs to do. Right before we do that though, let's atomize these commits, right? All right, there we go. I feel better now. Does everybody feel better now? I feel better now. Don't have anything still hanging out, right? Right, good. All right, here we go. So what we want it to do is now it needs to store the temperature value for a cell. Oh, temperature value. How do we get that? And yes, I could say temp value, but why? Because does that mean temperature? Does that mean temporary? Does that... Don't do that. But this will also be a float. It's going to be the temperature in that cell, which is going to help us determine which biome that cell should have. So, yeah, right? I mean, why not type those extra few letters, and then when somebody else looks at this code, or me 3 weeks from now when I've forgotten what that meant, I won't be confused. The only time I will really accept shorting of variables is like things like XY, because that has meaning on its own. I mean, any kind of geometry class, you're dealing with XY, and everybody knows what that means, so that's okay. But in general, no, I don't like that stuff. Or using I as a counter. That's so ubiquitous that everybody knows what that means. Although I still will often put counter instead of I, because I'm, you know, kind of anal retentive, but besides the point. Anyway, we don't have a temperature class. We don't have a temperature value, so this is going to fail, of course. But we need a temperature value. So we are going to make another accessor here. Temperature value. We're going to say, now we can't just assign this 0 because that 0 is a, well, I mean, the height value 0 is an actual value too, so I don't know that that matters too much. Also, is temperature Fahrenheit or Celsius? I'm going to default it to Fahrenheit because that's what I understand. But ultimately, I think we're going to want to make it configurable by the user, because I know people in Europe don't have a concept really. Most European countries don't really understand Fahrenheit, or it doesn't. If you tell me something is 72 degrees Fahrenheit, I know what that feels like. If you tell me something is 20 degrees Celsius, I don't know what that feels like. And I think it's backwards for people in Europe than that. How do I want to do this? Well, I guess the world map, we're going to just set the height value. So all I need in the tile is the attribute accessor, right? So, but this will actually work. Oh, how do I get a nil class? Oh, because, well, wait, what? It shouldn't be, oh, because I didn't save it, probably. Okay. So, this actually could be an integer, but we don't ever want it to be an integer, really. So this will actually work now. The problem is we're not really testing anything except that it has a field, because I can have this field now without actually having the world map assign anything to it, right? So is that a valid test? I mean, it's valid. Is it meaningful? Not really. And honestly, the same thing for this one. So what we need to do is figure out a way to test something that's meaningful for these. So if I'm generating a world map, my tiles should have what if I just what if I were to do this instead? Oops. And then this one, yeah, that should still pass. All right. That's actually what we want to do. I don't want a default number in here. I want this to be nil until I give it something, because if it turns out being nil, then something has gone wrong. Right? We've got a bug. So I want positive confirmation that this is nil. Right? So what that means is my world map is not actually putting anything in there at this point. Now, I think this may be a good time to have a little bit of a debate on, should I be testing this in the tile class, or should I be testing this in the world map class? The fact that I have access to these things, I think, is reasonable to put in the tile class. The fact that this tile stores this value at all. But the fact that it gets assigned a value is really the job of the world map class. So I think that's the more appropriate place to actually test it, right? Because here's a problem with the single responsibility stuff, right? If I'm doing a tile test and I have to create a world map in the tile test, I've violated single responsibility, and well, I've violated encapsulation, because I have to know about an object that's above the tile class, right? That's not good. So the fact that I've had to do this here should tell me I've got something wrong in my tests. I'm doing tests in the wrong place. Now, if I had to create a tile in here, that's not necessarily the same thing, because tile is kind of a lower class, but in this case, that wouldn't be good, because I want my world map, I want to get to a tile by accessing something in my world map, right? So if you're creating higher classes, is not really the name, and they're not parents, but well, I guess parent classes, no, not really. You know what I'm saying? They sit higher on the tree, I guess. But yeah, we haven't really encapsulated things correctly. So what we want to do is actually move the the problem here is this is one of the reasons testing is hard. So if I just move these tests over to here and say, okay, yes, each tile carries this or stores this information, I'm testing the tile, not the world map. So that doesn't feel right either, right? uh, I mean, sometimes you just got to make a call and go with it so you can move on with life. But I want to try and do things the right way here because this is a learning stream. So, I mean, if this was a production environment and I needed to get things out the door, I wouldn't spend this much time on it. I'd give it some rudimentary thought, but I wouldn't spend this much time on this question. But I think it's a good opportunity for us to learn. Oh. Yeah, now's the time to put in the time. That's right. How about this? Assigns a height value to each tile. That feels right. Right? Does that feel okay? Because then I can test what I'm trying to test, but it's in the context of what does the world map do to it? Yeah, I agree. That should be a t-shirt. Oh my God. Now is the time to put in the time. You need to merch that up, Colin. Start shilling that on your live stream, man. I think this feels okay. I think this feels like the right way to do this. All right. So, expect this, which is the tile. Gonna have a line of merch coming out this year. Awesome. I will buy, my man. I should put something together for Rubber Duck. Not that anybody would ever buy that, but I'd wear it. It's just, so what the hell? All right, man. I'll see about putting something together. I mean, I've got the graphics, so not gonna be too hard. A beanie with a rubber. See, I was just thinking t-shirts, but that. Now, when you say beanie, are you talking about the little caps with the propellers, or are you talking about like a toboggan or a toque? Because frankly, I'd wear either one. I'm just that goofy, but just kind of curious what you're talking about. All right, so this I think feels good. Full propeller. Yeah, baby. Always go full propeller. This doesn't feel good. So I'm starting to think that a tile spec isn't useful at all because a tile has no meaning by itself. It only has meaning in the context of the world map that's building it. So its context should be tested over there, right? So this whole file, I think, is meaningless. Never heard that, huh? Learn something new every day. See? You come to coding with Chris, you learn cool things. I mean, there you go. Worth the price of admission. you go, Colin. Yeah, I think this feels better, and I think tile spec is a complete waste of space. So I'm going to get rid of it. Never leave useless crap in your code. It just gets confusing 6 months later. All right, so what we want then is not only does it assign a height value, it assigns a temperature value. Right? And that's going to fail because we haven't done the temp map yet. See, even when I say temp map, you don't know if I mean temperature or temporary, so don't do that. Knit cap with a rubber duck patch on it. Okay, I'll go for that. All right, guys, I'll start putting some merch together. We'll see what we can come up with. I won't wear a knit cap myself because I live in Florida, and that would be, you know, like living in an oven, but I'll certainly do a t-shirt. Speaking of oven, I had to turn my fan on. You guys can't hear fan noise, right? Knit t-shirt. Oh God, I would die. There you go. Get me a beanie. Okay, thanks, Colin. I'd have to wear it upside down though, so that the air would push down on my head, right? Wait, that's not how propellers work. All right, so generate height map is one part of it. So now what we need is generate temperature map, right? So we want to have one of those. All right. So we also need a oh, we don't have that no more, do we? Oh yeah, we do. It's initialized in here, right? That's cool. All right, so let's do temperature map equals that. And then we're going to do generate temperature map. So we want to do temperature. Hello. Value is, damn it. Oh, the on Ashton's mesh t-shirt. Yeah. I would not wear that. That'd be a scary sight. But I hear you, man. Maybe if I plastered a huge rubber duck logo so you couldn't actually see through it. No, that's not something anybody wants to see. Okay. Now, this isn't strictly necessary. I don't have to have these functions in here, these methods. I can just access things like this. And honestly, Pay more. Oh, yeah, me modeling a see-through mesh t-shirt. That would just be a hideous sight. Well, me modeling anything would be a hideous sight, but it's, yikes. Anyway, I did this because I was accessing these things outside of this class. Now the only place I'm accessing it is here, so these are not terribly useful. It's kind of a waste of method call, right? There's not really a reason to have those things anymore, so I am going to ditch those. They're nice decorator methods if you're calling from outside this, but we no longer are, so because that's all private stuff. Okay. So what we want to do with the temperature map, right? Oh, I get to draw more pictures. All right, let's trying to get used to this thing. How do you clear this bloody? Let's just start a new one. All right, so look. So we've got a height map that is like Perlin noise, so it's just a noise map. It's got random noise all over the place, right? But with a temperature map, what we want to do is kind of find the equator, and then we want the map value, the temperature values, to go down as we move away from the equator until we get to the edge of the map, right? So our temperature map is going to look more like a gradient that starts in the middle and moves in both directions, right? And it gets lower as we go. That's kind of what we're looking for out of the temperature map. So we're not going to do a Perlin noise map. We're instead going to find, we're just going to build figure out the offset in the Y direction. And then everything on the temperature map, to start with, every X value on that Y value of the temperature map will have the same temperature, right? So there's a couple of things we're going to need to define. One is, what is the equator? It will be an X value. So my equator X is going to be the height divided by 2, right? Pretty simple. Yeah, we have height. Add height. Okay. Ah, why was my button not working? All right. Yeah. Okay, I know I haven't used it yet. Calm down. All right, so, and we want a temperature drop-off value. So for every latitude, we want to drop by how much, right? I think, so let's think about this. We could make this a hard number, right? So if, let's say the equator we just arbitrarily set at 120 degrees Fahrenheit, right? And I say for every latitude is height afloat. I don't think we ever really defined it. Everything I've been using is integers. Yeah, I mean, well, not really, because what height and width is here is number of tiles. So you wouldn't really ever have a float number of tiles in this case. Yes, that's true. If we were actually talking about latitudes, that's probably not the best word for me to have used, but Yeah, it would be floats if we were talking about the actual latitudes. You're right. So let's say we just set the equator temperature at 120, right? And we say, okay, every latitude we drop it 2 degrees. Well, if we make it such that the player can choose whether to use Celsius or Fahrenheit, 2 degrees in Fahrenheit is much different than 2 degrees in Celsius. So that's probably not the best way to do it. So how else could we do it? Well, we could do a percentage. We could say that the latitude is at this temperature. I mean, the equator is at this temperature. The edges of the map are at this temperature, and just drop by whatever percentage there is, right? That way, if it's Fahrenheit or Celsius scales, it won't really matter. Because we're doing it by percentage. I mean, for simplicity, just dropping it a hard number would be the simplest thing, but I think we're just going to run into problems later on. I mean, Yagni and all that, but I know that that's going to happen. I know that we're going to be wanting to implement that, so let's not box ourselves in a corner that we know we're going to want to stay out of. F and C could be subclasses of a temperature class. Yes, that's probably a good way to do it. One of the things that we'll want to be a little careful of, because it's game dev, is getting too deep with classes. Like one of the things in the Perlin noise, I had a lot of function calls in there, split things out into methods, and we had to inline a bunch of that stuff simply because it was too slow. But I also don't want to make this a typical game dev all inline one file cluster, so that may be a good idea. For now, let us say a percentage. All right, so I gotta put my math brain on. All right, so if I want to, yep, I'm good with that. He's good. Wondrous. All right. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. So let's say, so in Fahrenheit, right? Freezing is 32. Really hot temperature, like Sahara Desert, 110, 120. Or Death Valley, in the US, like one of the hottest places, can get, I think 120 is kind of its upper-ish limit. So, let's say we've got a range of temperatures. Of 100 degrees down to 0. Call it 0. That's in Fahrenheit, that's really damn cold. So now in Celsius, the 100 to 0 is boiling water to freezing. So we wouldn't want that same, because I mean, you don't want 100 degrees Celsius anywhere. That would kill you. So we're gonna have to kind of think in Fahrenheit for the moment, I think. So if I'm doing that, then I want how do I want to do this? I want the drop-off value to be okay, so I want it, so what I need to know is what is the difference between height and equator. So it will be height minus equator x, so that's the number of steps I'm going through, right? And I want it to be 100 divided by that number of steps, right? So if my height is 10, my equator is 5, I've got 5 steps, which means I want every step to drop off by 20 degrees. I'm not going to have 5 steps. I'm going to have a lot more than that. But, you know, this gives us, I think, what we want for what each latitude should drop off. Now, do we really want it to drop off linearly? Probably not. But let's start with this. We probably want a little bit more sophisticated drop-off equation. So that the higher the latitude goes, the faster it drops off. So we want kind of a ramp for that. But let's just start here. All right. So so if I'm going to generate, I got to do another while loop. We may ultimately want to combine these while loops and have this all do it at one time, but let's not do that yet. That will be important because that's each of these while loops is going to take a while. See what I did there, chat? But let's just do this for now. So we want, for X, we want to go across the width. No. Yes. No. What? Yeah, the width is X. Why are we doing height here? Because we're not looking for the... Yeah, this is incorrect. This is my equator Y. Why is the latitudes? All right. Yes. All right. So while that's less than the width. Yep. Then right, so in here, we're going to want to set the temperature map, X, Y, equal to, I have to do this too. Map X, initialize that array. And here we want some value. Hold the phone. I actually want to do this the other way around. I want to put the X inside the Y, because at a particular Y value, I calculate the temperature, but I don't have to it's the same temperature for every X value, right? So I can just go through the X's and assign that one temperature. I only have to calculate it once. So I don't want to do this, because that's very wasteful. So let's turn these around. Everybody following what I'm saying here? That's going to be a problem. I'll have to figure out how to do that. Figure that out in a second. Picking up what I'm putting down. All right. You can smell what the rock is cooking. All right. So this, however, what did I do wrong here? Oh, because I've got this. Hold on there, homeboy. All right. So what we're going to want to do is, doubt it. I seriously doubt it. I wouldn't. Well, I don't cook now, but if I did, I wouldn't then. So we want the Y temperature is going to be the value we calc, right? So that's what's going to be that. And then this will equal that. Right? Okay. Then this is going to be problematic. I think I need to... There's a way to predefine a multi-dimensional array. Let's see. I think I can do it like this. Oh, I've forgotten the syntax for it. It's weird. Why am I looking this up off the camera where you guys can't see it? Oh yeah, this thing. It's really weird. I wish you could do this. That would be way more readable, but yeah, it's this. I was almost there. So see how this the Y the initialization of the Y-axis becomes a proc to the initialization of the X-axis, which is just that hurts my head. But I think, whoops, I think this is how we're going to have to do it. Honestly, get my keyboard. It must be my keyboard's fault. So we don't need that. Whoa. All right, so this then is going to be now which way I got to do this? So I've got to subtract the drop off. I've got to know how many steps I am from the equator, multiplied by the drop off, and subtract that from my max, right? Yeah, Chris, that's how you do it. So I need at height minus y, right? That's where I am. Wait, but when I get on the other side of the equator, one second, checking a message here. Could be cool. Okay, not cool yet, but it's getting there. Don't worry, we'll get it going. Oh god. Okay, that's it works pinging, but that's not me. That's not a me thing. Where am I? Where are you? Oh, okay. There's my OBS. All right, cool. All right. Colin, when are you going to stream again, man? I had fun hanging out with you. So let's see here. My y, all right, so if my y is at 0, let's say I've got a height of 100. So my equator is 50. When my y is at 0, my distance... Oh, so I just need the absolute value of the distance. Yeah, that's what I was missing. So, what's the absolute value function in Ruby? Is it just ABS? I don't think that's a thing, is it? I've never done that in Ruby. Never had to use absolute value. Oh, it is just ABS. Okay. That's cool. So you don't have to do like C# where you do mathf.abs and it's a 8-bit C#. All right, so I need to get the equator minus y. Oh, just got to get in the vibe. Yeah, I get that. I've actually been really in the mood to stream this more. I'd be streaming this every day if I could afford to take that much time off of work. That might be frowned upon a little bit if I did that much. I'd love to, though. All right, so if I've got my distance times my temperature drop off value. That's how much I need to subtract from I want a max temperature. That'll need to be moved somewhere else. But let's do this for now. So I want to subtract that from temperature. All right. So let's think on this. All right. So if I've got let's say my height is 100. So I go 0 to 100, right? And my equator is 50. If as I'm going through y, stepping through y, 0 up to 100, right? So here at y equals 0, I've got 50 minus 0, which is 50. Absolute value of that, 100 minus that, times my temperature drop off, which would be, I don't know, something, what, like 2 degrees or something like that. So I would be at 0 degrees here. Now, if I get to at y 100, I'm 50 minus 100. Absolute value of that is 50 times 2. That's still 100 degrees, so I'd be at 0 here too. Yeah, so I think this is the correct math. I think I'm doing math right. So, and then every x of that y value, I assign that temperature. Sure. So if we know that there's a specific drop off, what I can do, and I know I'm 50 by 50, means my equator's at 25. Let's do this. Let's do some calcs in here too. I don't have to do the let bang here because I'm actually calling this. All right, so let's height. We'll call that 50. Width, we'll call that 50. So our map equator is going to be height divided by 2, right? That means our temperature drop off is going to be oh, we'll want to define a max temperature in here too. Oh crap, it's already 5 o'clock. All right, see you, Colin. Thanks for hanging out, man. Yeah, I got to jam a little bit too, but I'll finish up this test and then I'm gonna boogie. But have a great night. All right, so let's make the max temperature 100, right? Okay, here we go. So my temperature drop off is where I'm at. Here I am. It's gonna be my max temperature. Gonna be this. Divided height minus map equator. Now I realize I'm doing all these calcs again, but that's so that we can test what we're actually getting in here, right? So my actual temperature value at 1-1 should be well, it should be whatever my this thing here. So my max temperature minus my map equator minus 1 let's say this. Right? That should work. Not gonna work. Wow. How do you get that big ass printout? What have I done wrong, y'all? Temperature maps are all nil. Okay, so I'm not assigning something. No. Temperature maps getting assigned. And yeah, and the map is the map of tiles, so that's what's getting passed back. That's okay. Where did I mean equator Y? Where what, huh? What are we looking at? Good lord. Equator for, yes, here. That's where I missed it. Boy, that... Man. Did you really have to put out the entire bloody thing? That's gross. Alright, anyway. Let us see what we got here. Alright, so we're still failing because... Undefined method ABS. Okay, so that's... I'm missing an include somewhere. So I need to include numeric. Oh, it's not a method. Oh, I keep trying to jump back into like .NET stuff. It's this. Okay. We'll be okay, chat. Don't worry. All right. World map 74. So I don't have... oh, so that's not working. This is not okay? Why this not okay? Should be. You know what I'm gonna do though? Because it's getting late and I'm already after time. Here's what I'm gonna do, chat. This is another good good first ticket type of thing. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this up there and let somebody take a crack at unscrewing this test. right, so I'm gonna push it up there for our session, and then I'm going to merge in the to get everything. Yep, it's all up to the latest, and our develop branch should have everything up to there. Yes. All right, so the develop branch is up to date now. We need to open a ticket, and we need, well, I need to get the, oh, I guess I could have gotten it from here. We need to fix this. We're going to make this a good first issue. You can do it. All right. So, yeah, man, I'm having a lot of fun with this series. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I'm really having fun with this stuff. So if you want to take a crack at some of those tickets, I'm trying to leave some things open so that people can play with it, practice it. Especially junior devs can get in there and try some of the less intense things, practice PRs and Rspec and that kind of stuff. So yes, you shouldn't ever push to your develop branch with broken tests, but I'm making an exception here because it's a good learning experience. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm really having fun. I'm looking forward to keeping going with this stuff. I'm enjoying this new way of thinking about Ruby programming and not having to have Rails front-endy stuff in the mix. So if you enjoyed that, please consider liking and subscribing on YouTube or following on Twitch if that's your preference. That's free. It makes me feel really good. So I will be back next Tuesday with that, and Thursday at 3 p.m. we've got the Rubber Duck Dev Show live. I think we've got Lucian Ginda coming to talk about short Ruby news this week, so that'll be really fun. I've never gotten a chance to meet him before, but we've talked a lot through Twitter, so that'll be awesome. And I will hope to see some people starting to contribute to this repo a little bit, and we can learn together. So I will see you here next Tuesday and on RDDS on Thursday. And until then, happy programming.